Hello. Guys, I haven't filmed a video in a really long time, so please give me your grace because I haven't filmed a single video since the start of the year and I didn't edit or post anything. I haven't posted anything to YouTube in a really long time, not since I think it was my Christmas decoration haul last year. And if you watch that, you'll notice probably that I'm not going great. I was actually very sick at that time. I was even sicker exactly a year ago, almost, like to the week, when I filmed our Halloween video, which was just like a little vlog. But even in that, I struggled throughout to film it. The fact that I'm sitting here right now is a huge thing, just from like my anxiety. For some reason, I've wanted to share things and talk about the things going on in my life because some things have been quite hard. Lots of things have been amazing and I'm incredibly blessed, but I've just felt a bit weird and life has been very tumultuous since my evacuating the fires video, which is like almost 2 years ago now. Anyway, today you are here for a life update, so I'll stop rambling and I'll give you one. Yeah, we'll go right from the fires. Obviously that was a huge thing in my life, but if you want to know more about that, there is a whole little video, probably be up here somewhere. And I filmed evacuating that, but there was a lot more that came after that because not even just for me, just for a lot of people, it's quite traumatic, and we expected that obviously to be the worst thing that we went through. A lot of the bush when I drive home to visit mum is still destroyed, like it's coming back, but there is some scorched earth down the Princes Highway of New South Wales, guys. So we've had the fires and then we went into 2020. The next thing that happened around, I want to say February, because it was like 2 weeks in to semester 1 of uni in Australia, like for my University of Wollongong. We were in week 2 of semester 1 and we'd heard things about COVID. You know, we had heard that it was popping up in the United States, our borders weren't closed yet. We kind of just like knew it was growing really fast, and I think in Australia at least, like we were very wary of that. We like acted pretty quickly, but at this time it was only just starting to like really snowball politically. I had been feeling sick for a couple of days, like exhausted, tired, but that was like a normal thing. I'd just gotten over my period. Like, you know, if you have PCOS like I do, irregular periods, feeling kind of like gross around a period, maybe feeling sicker than usual. So I didn't think anything was wrong. I'm not going to go over the symptoms or anything. And it was around like the 2-week point of me feeling this way. Like I felt awful, and my period had been 2.5 weeks before this, which is an important point. 2.5 weeks before this. Yeah, I went to the doctors. They did like a little swab test up in, you know, my area. And they're like, well, we'll send this to the lab. I don't know how much of this I should be sharing. I might do a whole big talk, but basically for 2.5 weeks, I was experiencing toxic shock and I didn't notice for 2.5 weeks. I was really sick, and I'll talk about it soon in the next couple of weeks and you can hear all about it. But if you want to hear all about it, you better like and subscribe to this video, because liking is encouragement, guys. It is. And if you subscribe and you click that little bell notification down in the corner, you know that I've posted another video, because no one likes the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, but I'm basically I was so sick and the shock was so it was just a lot of my body. The doctors said that this particular type of toxic shock, like I had a special variant, like a special type of infection, and it meant that I was very lucky to be alive. Like I had a 50-50 chance of surviving it. So the rest of the year of like all of 2020, I was recovering from that. Like the whole time, and COVID and everything, I was just exhausted. I couldn't go for a long walk by myself until this year because I would probably faint, and like I was just so weak. I'd put on a lot of weights. like a lot of weight. I'd lost a lot of muscle. Like my housemates could tell you, I was just like not myself at all. I slept a lot, which then made uni very difficult, but I kept at it. Something good happened after the toxic shock, and like Charles proposed to me. He had been planning to for a really long time, like a really long time. This ring, I'll try to like focus it a bit. I don't know if you can see. Come on, focus, focus, focus. This ring, yeah, there we go. This ring was my great grandmother's, Grandma Queenie Goldstein. Mum saw fit to pass this ring on to Charles when he wanted to marry me. And I did know he had it. I did. Mum was like very clear about it, because never in a million years, like she always made it very clear that this ring's not being passed down until she dies. And so I never expected it. And when she did, she was like, guess what? Like sort of thing. Like it was a big thing for her to do. And Mum, I know you're watching this. I am so grateful. I love it so much. But yeah, Charles proposed to me after getting a resize and everything. And if you want to know the story, I'll have to ask Charles and see if he wants to share it online, because it was really intimate. There was no actual like photos of what happened. It was just him and I, and it was really beautiful. But we did take engagement photos, and you'll notice in the engagement photos I'm always in Charles's arms. He's always holding me, and it looks really cute, but it's because I'm trying not to faint, or I'm tired and it's just like a long day, and so he's holding me. I love him to bits, but he was just so good. He was so good. Like I could obviously not have gotten through that day, let alone do that day without him. But we have some really beautiful photos that I'll put here. I actually cut my hair myself that day, which was interesting. Honestly, I'm really shocked that I went through with that. Truly. Moving on. So COVID was getting busy. They're talking about locking the city down, and we're like, well, what do we do? Like we've already closed our borders and everything. And then uni announced that everything would be online. And for that, I am very grateful, honestly. I know it's terrible for everyone else, and it was terrible timing for everyone else, but I was like, I'm going home and I'm gonna let my mum take care of me. My mummy, my mama is going to take care of me while I get better and I study online. And Charles was with us for half the time that I was down there, so like probably a month Charles was with us, but he had to come back and work. So he went back to his and he worked, and we did long distance for 2 months, and then this continued. Like I would go down to mum's for like a month period just to see her and see grandpa and take care of the like house, but just get out of the city. I'm not a city girl. I live in an apartment. When I was driving home to Narooma, okay, everyone said that I should leave earlier. I had the car packed. I was kind of ready to go around midday, but I didn't want to leave Charles. I like wanted to spend time with Charles. I wanted to eat dinner with Charles, and it was like daylight savings time. So the sun sets in the night. Like it was a long day, and I left around sunset. Okay. The drive home was about 4 hours, 3.5 hours, depending on traffic. But I was expecting to go a little bit slower because it was going to be dark. There could be kangaroos. There could be kangaroos. Everything was fine. Everything was going so well on this drive. I've done it a million times. It's just such an upsetting story, guys. Brace yourself. If you know the Prince's Highway, you know that it gets very windy around Bateman's Bay, Mogo area. And there's lots of cliffs, there's lots of bush, and it all at this time been really burnt off. Like it was all just sticks of charcoal coming out of the ground. This is only an hour away from home at that point, only an hour from Narooma less. So I'd already finished most of the trip. The roads were dead silent because of COVID. No one was traveling. I was just trying to get home to my mum. I hit a kangaroo and I rode off my car, which was absolutely fabulous. I was listening to worship music when I was on this drive, and I was like just there driving, singing. It was like 1:30 in the morning. Dead silent. I had the road to myself. I was speeding. I was speeding. I should not have been going as fast as I did. I had my high beams on. my knee at some point really started hurting because I'd been in like the same position, but I thought it was really weird. I was like, why is my knee hurting? I was right up against the steering wheel, and because I was tired and I was driving and I was speeding because I just wanted to get home. So I moved my seat all the way back because my knee was hurting, and driving. And then I was like, I should look out for kangaroos. And I looked down. I seriously looked down to check that my high beam is on. I look up and the whole blimmin' windscreen was grey. Like all I could see was grey fur. The glass shattered. I screamed. I remember screaming hysterically. I was shocked. I was taking a corner and I slammed my brakes really hard. I remember like it took me a while to stop. Like I was still in motion. I stopped about this far. Like there was this much room between my car and a huge slope down to big trees, and I'm so glad that I stopped where I stopped because that roll down that hill was not fun at all. Like, oh my goodness. The airbag had gone off. I'd had like a massive bruise on my head. My chest really hurt because I was a little winded, and because the airbag had gone off, the car horn was just going continuously. There was no one inside. I'm lucky I had reception. I kid you not. I was like, okay. And I remember shaking and I was like, okay, I need to get out of the car. So I got out of the car and grabbed my phone, turned the flashlight on my phone. I can see like this huge swerve, like skid mark on the road. About like 25 meters back from the car was the poor bloody kangaroo. And the one thing I thought was, I need to call my dad. I couldn't hear myself think. My car alarm was just going off and off and off. I couldn't see like anyone's house. There was probably houses like 200, 300 meters away, but I only walked like 100 meters or so away to call my dad so he could hear me. No one had their lights on at that time of night. Like everyone was dead asleep. It's a small country like village around Mogo. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I can go knock on someone's door like in the Vampire Diaries or something. Dad was like, hello? Like he was still awake, but he was just like, hello, what's going on? Probably assuming I was going to call him to tell him I was home safe because he was living in Taree, which is like 9-10 hours up the coast. Still in New South Wales, in the same state. Like, you know when you call your father and you're just like, Dad, oh, I don't want to cry. I'm not gonna cry. My dad lives in Perth now, so whenever I talk about my dad I get sad because I can't go see him. I remember saying, Dad, I hit a kangaroo. I thought it was a deer because it looked so, like, I didn't see what it was when I first hit. I was like, I think I hit a deer or a kangaroo, I'm not sure. It was a grey kangaroo. Grey kangaroos can get pretty big, guys. It had took out the left front light and the crumple zone of the car had all come in. The door to the passenger seat had like been pushed back, kind of like avalanching over the top of the back left-hand passenger door. Because guys, we're in Australia, the driver's seat is on the right, the passenger seat's on the left. He ended up calling the police in Batemans Bay. They came down. Someone randomly like was driving their daughter up to uni accommodation in Newcastle from Melbourne. He had this big trailer with a bed and everything and all these boxes, and he was driving her this hour of the night. Like they'd obviously been driving all day and they're probably going to stop in Batemans Bay and stay at a hotel. And this man stopped and he was like, "Are you alright?" And he just like cut the connection between the car and the battery. Like he disconnected the battery so the horn would stop going. The police came, an ambulance came, examined me because I was like a little loud. A tow truck came to get my car, and they also arranged like the 40-minute drive to my mum's because my mum wasn't answering her phone. She also couldn't come get me anyway because all the petrol stations in town were closed, and she only had about like enough petrol to get into town to get petrol. The worst part is my insurance for my, you're gonna think I'm stupid, guys. Please don't think I'm stupid. A lot was going on. My insurance had like run up on my car and I didn't notice, so I didn't renew it. And it's like it was a good car. So that was a bit annoying. That was very annoying. I don't want to talk too much about the pandemic or anything, But then there was obviously like a whole year of online learning. I dropped down to like 3 subjects at uni to make the load a little less on me. I came back eventually because Michelle, my housemate, was going mental in that time because Jess had also gone home. Fun fact, since we all lived together, we moved into this apartment. Start of the year, like in February 2020, we moved into this apartment. I lived with Jess and Michelle, 2 of my bridesmaids. After the year, we were like, we'll keep this lease because Charles and I will need someone to stay when we are married. And after they moved out, both of them got engaged. So all 3 of us are engaged now. And Michelle will be married before me because thank you, COVID. Yeah, a lot of other things happened. I just can't think of them. In between then and Christmas, I can't think of anything that was as huge. I just remember like really struggling. I quit cheerleading, which was really hard for me, but it was all cancelled anyway and all the comps were cancelled for the year. And I also was meant to be playing soccer. Couldn't do that. Couldn't coach for soccer anymore. Yeah, and then I went back to uni, my last semester of uni. I filmed a New Year's resolution video and my plans for this year, and it wasn't bad at all. Like, it was actually really good, and I was halfway through editing it and I just did finish. And this is where I started to kind of struggle with like my mental health. I kind of started treating our wedding like a deadline in this time. Like, I had a lot to get done. I also was trying to graduate uni. I did graduate. I graduated I did 2 degrees, guys. I graduated, but lockdown here happened again in 2021. It turned out to be worse than 2020 for Australians. So I haven't had a graduation ceremony. Probably I'm not going to go to the graduation ceremony next year. I actually started filming on the 27th of August and I really wanted to like vent on that day because that was the day I was meant to get married. My birthday is the 26th of August. I was going to turn 23. We're going to have a little rehearsal dinner. And then the next day, Charles and I were going to get married. Leading up to that, right before this lockdown, my mum got really sick. I would say 3 months before like the looming wedding day, my mum had a stroke. She dodged like a few doctor's appointments, but she had to go in for a medical checkup for a job. And she had like blood tests and blood culture tests done. Basically, the blood arrived at pathology. Pathology called the doctor immediately. The doctor called mum. Mum missed the phone call. Eventually, like the next day, they got onto my mother. Yeah, and then it turned out that her blood levels were at 6. Now, you know that they should be at a minimum of like 13. She was so severely anemic, and she had been for months. And we knew something was wrong, but she just thought it was menopause. Like, she just thought that it was like normal for her age. She'd continuously been bleeding. Like, she doesn't mind me sharing this because she tells everyone, and I'll ask her before posting this. But she'd prolapsed. If you don't know what that means, you can Google it. She had to have 2 operations on her reproductive system just to like tie it all together. She had polyps on her ovaries, like really big ones. Everything went really, really wrong. They suspected. No, she had a heart attack because she was so severely anemic. She didn't have enough blood to pump through her body. I would hold her hands, and you know when you hold like an elderly person's hand and they feel a little squishy because of the poor circulation? Mum felt like that. And I was just like, oh mum, like I kept telling her, I was like, you meant to age this quickly? Because she was never old. She never looked old. Doctors used to mistake her for my sister. Like, she looked like I do right now. She sounded a little bit more mature than me, but she looked like I do now in her like late 30s. This had all happened and I was like, my mum is not making it through a wedding day. Not only would she not be able to like make it through a whole wedding day, and I had a little bit of an idea because I had the toxic shock the year before of what like just getting sick like that can take out of you. And I knew that I couldn't do a whole wedding day. Like, obviously I didn't do a whole wedding day. And I missed several events after that because I couldn't do it. And I was like, my mum can't miss my wedding day. So I emailed our wedding coordinator. She was really lovely. They approved for the wedding to be moved. I was sad. Everyone was sad. Mum was sad. I really wanted to be married. And then COVID happened anyway. We were meant to have our wedding ceremony then. And we were meant to be living in this house together then, and it was just like everything was lined up around this wedding day. It's weird. It was like perfect timing for my mum to get sick because she can't work until after Christmas, and like her workplaces weren't open anyway. It was just another lockdown, and it was like a time for her to recover, which is kind of like what I had. And you gotta find the silver linings with these things, honestly. So she has recovered plenty. Still not there yet though, but she looks like a living, breathing human and not like a vampire anymore. She's got that circulation. She has had so many blood transfusions and iron transfusions, and like she always looks a little flushed and red because there's so many red blood cells pumping through her body, making her a healthy, fit human. And I'm so grateful for that. So grateful that my mum is still with us, honestly. So like the fact that our wedding date got moved, oh well, like that's fine. Like I nearly lost my mum. All this rubbish happened in between, like starting with the fires and then to now, and I thought that would be everything that happened. Actually, I enrolled in my masters. My undergraduate Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing and Bachelor of International Studies in International Relations, binary and French. And so naturally, that led to a Masters of Marketing. I arranged, like, so our wedding was moved to be in that like break in trimesters. And it's now going to be an autumn wedding. It's not going to be a winter wedding. A lot of things have changed color-wise with the wedding, but the bridesmaids' dresses have stayed the same, and we'll just see how it all looks together, you know. I am taking some time off my masters to prepare for the wedding and really enjoy the engagement season, because this engagement season has been a little bit of hell. But Charles and I'll tell you, we are strong after this. And I love him so much. And we've been through so much before our wedding that I know nothing will trump us during marriage. Obviously there could be things that are worse, things that could happen. I'm really sorry if worse has happened to you, but I just, yeah, praying for a long, happy marriage with that man. He honestly had to put up with a lot, and he took care of me a lot, so I'm so grateful that I was with him, because I honestly can't imagine anyone else being so understanding, so loving, caring. I'm blessed. See, now I've become a pile of mush. Yeah, if you guys want wedding content, wedding planning content, I actually filmed when we went and did our menu tasting this previous autumn, but again I didn't edit it. Literally, I'm sure there's heaps of other things I could tell you guys, and I'll probably like want to tell you as soon as I turn off the camera, but I don't want this video to be ridiculously long. I just wanted to update you guys on my life and have a little chat. I really appreciate every single person who watched this far into the video, because wow, you know, thank you. If you're here, feel free to stay by subscribing, and I'd love to get to know you too. Feel free to comment in the comment section below about what your past 2 years have been like. I'd love to read that. Okay, thank you.